Every single day, an invisible war is being fought. It's not a war over borders, armies, or geopolitical agendas. It's a war over the most precious resource in the world: your attention. Every click, scroll, and swipe is part of an invisible system designed to influence your mind, not by chance, but by design. We live in a time where the most advanced minds in psychology and technology have one mission: to capture and hold your attention. And while they promise convenience, entertainment, and connection, the real cost is your autonomy. The human mind is the ultimate prize. Tech giants, politicians, and advertisers all know this, and they have built multi-billion-dollar machines designed to pull you in, hook you, and keep you distracted. From the minute you wake up, you are bombarded by a relentless battle for your focus. Countless invisible actors and agendas all simultaneously vying for a slice of your mind. See, the war for attention isn't just about distraction, it's about control. It's a battle to influence how we think, what we value, and how we behave. And if we don't wake up to what's happening, we risk losing the most important thing we have: our ability to think for ourselves, the ability to direct your attention and to consciously choose what you consume and how you engage with it is the most powerful skill that you possess. So if you've reduced brain rot to being just a social media problem and concluding that we just need to reduce our screen time in order to improve our mental health, then I have bad news for you. You've only scratched the surface. This is the war of our time, and it's time we take action. In 1964, philosopher Marshall McLuhan coined the phrase, "the medium is the message," which suggests that the way information is delivered, the medium itself, shapes society more profoundly than the actual content of the message. In other words, the tools we use to communicate fundamentally alter how we think, how we engage with information, and how we behave. Let's walk down history lane for a second. In 1837, the telegraph was invented, and for the first time in history, information could travel across the globe in a matter of minutes. And this technology marked the beginning of a shift. Speed became a more important feature of information than its depth and its usefulness. Headlines became more sensationalized to grab attention quickly. Stories became shorter, focusing on drama or novelty as opposed to depth. And meaningful local discussions were replaced by distant, fragmented bits of information that were often irrelevant to a person's everyday life. Then came the television, which combined moving images with sound, creating a highly stimulating experience that appeals to emotions rather than logic. Visual storytelling replaced the abstract, logical arguments which were typical of print. Think about it. When you are reading something, there is a certain speed at which you are processing the information, right? The format requires you to follow an author's entire train of thought. And by the very nature of the medium, you are going to be questioning what is being read. You are thinking with the author. But now, with audio-visual mediums, right, like social media, YouTube, TikTok, the TV, everything, we are more susceptible to being persuaded with emotional storytelling. We are more susceptible to being persuaded by a speaker's charisma, maybe by cognitive biases like the halo effect. We are more susceptible to being persuaded by storytelling tactics done by graphics, certain images that are shown, or by music, right? Music has a huge impact on how we feel. But what relevance does music have to a news segment? What relevance does music have to something about politics? Nothing. But it's done as a storytelling device to make you feel a certain way. In 1960, the USA had its first ever televised presidential debate between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. And this is the perfect example of how the medium impacts the message. See, Nixon was pale and sweaty under the studio lights. Visually, he lost the battle. Meanwhile, the polished and charismatic JFK won over the viewers on TV. And suddenly, politics wasn't just about the content of your ideas. It was about how you looked presenting them. It was a performance. To give you a reference point, compare this to the 1858 Lincoln-Douglas debates, which ultimately ended slavery in America. In one debate, Douglas discussed his viewpoint for 3 hours. Then, the audience went home for dinner, and when they returned, Lincoln spoke for another 3 hours. And then when that was done, Douglas responded with his rebuttal for an hour and a half. To think that an audience of today, myself included, could sit through 7 hours of political discussion is laughable. And now social media has taken this to a whole new level. Think about what wins elections today. It's not the candidate with the best ideas for the direction of the country. It's the candidate who understands the cultural landscape the best. It's the candidate who knows how to play the medium. Today, elections are won by tweets, by memes, by one-liners shared on social media, or whoever has the best podcast appearances. And this is not a shot at either political candidate. This is not a political channel, because frankly, both of them did this, what I'm talking about. What I'm hoping you realize through this observation is that the best ideas don't win anymore. It's the people who know how to weaponize the landscape of the media. I mean, do you think Abraham Lincoln would have been able to end slavery if his arguments were reduced to a 60-second TikTok with Mr. Beast style captions, right? With his weird ass chin and his receding hairline on display? Maybe, but maybe not. When a population becomes distracted by trivia, when cultural life is redefined as a perpetual round of entertainments, when serious public conversation becomes a form of baby talk, when, in short, a people become an audience and their public business a vaudeville act, then a nation finds itself at risk. Culture death is a clear possibility. That is a quote from Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death. It was a book published in 1985 which critiqued the current state of media, which at his time was the television, and it warned us of the potential downstream effects of this media. Now, in the book, Postman makes a comparison between Aldous Huxley's A Brave New World, which is a famous dystopian novel, and the potential future state of media. In Brave New World, society is controlled not by force, but through pleasure, through distraction, and through consumerism. The citizens in the novel would choose to take a drug called soma, which kept them docile, happy, and disconnected from reality. And in his book, Postman compares soma, the drug, to the current state of media, right? The endless, mindless distraction that exists that keeps us numb and pacifies us and removes our ability to think critically about what is happening. Now, I want to read you a quote from the foreword of this book that sends chills down my spine every time I read it. Keep in mind, this was written nearly 40 years ago, pre-internet. Orwell warns that we will become overcome by an externally imposed oppression. But in Huxley's vision, no big brother is required to deprive the people of their autonomy, maturity, and history. As he saw it, people will come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. What Orwell feared were those who would ban books. What Huxley feared was that there would be no reason to ban a book, for there would be no one who wanted to read one. Orwell feared those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism. Orwell feared that the truth would be concealed from us. Huxley feared that the truth would be drowned in a sea of irrelevance. Now, coming back to our discussion about the state of media and brain rot, the danger lies in the fact that these new mediums, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, prioritize and reward entertaining content, not enlightening content. Entertainment is assumed in the form. Think about it. The only goal of these platforms is to capture and hold your attention for as long as they can, so that more advertisers have opportunities to put their products in front of you, and as a result, they both make more money, which means they will reward and push content which is outrageous, content which is hyper stimulating, which is hyper entertaining, instead of content that is nuanced, that is complex, that is long, that has depth, that is enlightening. I mean, think about how many people nowadays struggle to sit through a 10-minute YouTube video without being distracted, without needing to be more stimulated by faster edits, by flashy captions, without texting at the same time. I know for a fact that if I sit in the back of a university lecture hall today at least 30% of the people sitting in front of me will be text messaging, they'll be having a sports game on, they'll be playing a video game, they'll have something stimulating them, because we can't sit through long, nuanced, complex information anymore. We've lost that ability, or at least a lot of us have. The worst of us can't even sit through a 60-second TikTok without having Subway Surfers playing at the bottom. We laugh at this kind of stuff, but it really isn't funny. When you think about it, these aren't children that we're talking about. These are lawyers. These are doctors. These are senators. These are mayors. These are entrepreneurs. These are innovators. These are scientists. When did we forget that children grow up to be adults which shape and run our world? The biggest problem with brain rot isn't just the reduced attention spans. That's a symptom of the problem. The problem is that our ability as a society to engage in meaningful and complex discussions is being completely eroded. And as a result, we become a society, a culture that is more polarized, that is distracted, that can't engage in conversations that would move us forward. Let's do a thought exercise. Imagine we were to compress the entire 300,000 year history of Homo sapiens, us, down into a 1-year timeline. Right? So we discovered agriculture 12,000 years ago. But in a 1-year timeline, that means we learned how to plant seeds 2 weeks ago. See how this works? So that means the Roman Empire rose and fell in 3 days. The Industrial Revolution happened 3 hours ago. The internet only came around 45 minutes ago. The iPhone came out 1 minute ago. TikTok came out 10 seconds ago. Are you getting this? Our brains are not anywhere near prepared for the way technology works, the way we are interacting with each other. We have all this new technology, but we are running on the same hardware that we had 300,000 years ago. Right? In a 1-year timeline, all the technology that we interact with on a daily basis came out in the final minutes, and we have not had the time to prepare, to adjust to all of the information that is out there. We literally have brought a knife to a gunfight. So where does this leave us? Because believe me, the point of this video is not to be a fearmongerer. It's not to cause outrage. My goal is not to demonize the internet and the global nature of communication, right? That's not the point at all. The internet and the current state of media is a beautiful thing, and it provides us so many opportunities that we've never had ever, right? The fact that we can communicate across the globe in a matter of seconds means that we can learn from each other, means that we can organize ourselves, and means that we can solve problems at a global scale. We've never been able to do that before, right? Things such as NATO and the UN, and me solving a problem from someone across the world through a business, like that's never been possible before. So these are great things. But at the same time, upon realizing how the medium impacts the message, how our ability to think critically and engage with long, nuanced, and complex topics is being eroded, upon realizing the impact that these new methods of communication are impacting our mental health, are decreasing our attention spans, and all of that, it can be really discouraging. It can be scary. But I want to assure you that you're not powerless. If I know one thing to be capital T true, regardless of who you are or what your circumstances are, it's that we have the ability to choose. We get to choose what we give our attention to. We get to choose what deserves our energy and focus. No one can take that power away from you. Which brings us to the action of this video. The art of conscious curation. Do you want to reclaim your focus, increase your mental clarity, and be able to make decisions that serve you and your personal mission as opposed to the agenda of some invisible actors? Do you want to improve your emotional well-being, your relationships, meanwhile reducing your anxiety, your comparison, and your self-doubt? Do you want to clearly define your values without external noise distorting your perception? Do you want to improve your creativity, the quality of your work? Do you want to learn faster and better? Do you want to be less impulsive in your decision making? Develop the ability to think critically and become bulletproof to manipulation, propaganda, and aggressive advertising? Do you want to take ownership of your mind and create a life by your design and not someone else's? Sounds like the best product ever, doesn't it? Well, I'm going to give it to you for free. The solution lies in our ability to consciously curate the information, influences, and ideas that we allow into our lives. That's it. The quality of our inputs dictates the quality of our outputs. That's all it comes down to. It's one big inputs-outputs equation. Garbage comes in, garbage will come out. Good things come in, good things will come out. Now, don't let the simplicity of the solution detract you from implementing it into your life. This is not easy by any means. First of all, when I say inputs, I'm not just talking about the YouTube videos that you watch, the accounts that you follow on Instagram. I'm talking about everything. The books you read, the movies you watch, the music you listen to, the friends and family, how you interact with them, how you speak to yourself, right? Your self-talk, that's huge. Your physical and emotional states, your life experiences. Anything that your brain can process through your five sensory experience is an input. Now, whether that input is good or bad is highly subjective. The answer to that will be personal and depends on your answer to the following question, which is, what do you want? What is your purpose? What do you want to experience in the limited time that you have left here? Now, if your answer is something along the lines of, I want to experience joy, I want to experience love, I want to push my body, my intellect, and my creativity to its limits. I want to see what I'm capable of. I want to be part of a community. I want to be useful. If your answer is somewhere along those lines, if you're clear on what you want, then the next step becomes incredibly obvious. How do I align every single input to that vision? You're clear on your North Star. Then it just comes down to aligning every single input in your life to that. Right? Now that sounds simple enough, but that's only part one of this process. That's the curation aspect. The second element is much harder, and it's consciousness. Your ability to be conscious and aware at any given moment, registering everything that is unfolding in front of you. Your ability to be here now. Mindfulness. Why? Because an input is only as good as your ability to register it and see how it aligns to your vision. Of what use is watching an educational YouTube video, a podcast, if you were only half paying attention? If you were doing dishes at the same time, or you were answering text messages, right? If what use is reading a book, if while you're reading the book, you're having like 30 other thoughts and your mind is wandering, you're not actually picking up the information that the author is giving you. Of what use is having a beautiful partner that loves you deeply, that supports you, if you are constantly finding flaws in their character and your head is on a swivel anytime you see another attractive person? Every single day you wake up with a roof over your head. You walk outside on a cold morning and the sun beams this beautiful warm light on your face. You go to lunch with your friends, you laugh deeply, Maybe you get 3 hours on a weekend to work on a project that you're deeply passionate about. Life is offering you beautiful gifts day in, day out, moment after moment. But if you are not conscious, if you're not present, if you're not registering them, of what use are they? That's what this comes down to, right? Unfortunately, how media is organized, right? Brain rot, the brain rot problem, is fighting against us on both of these fronts. It takes away our presence, and it feeds us an unlimited amount of bullshit information that doesn't align with our vision. So we have to curate incredibly hard. We have to be super intentional with the inputs that we allow into our awareness, and we have to be conscious. We have to be present. We have to register all of it. I'm going to leave you to think about that. I hope this video served you. I hope you enjoyed it. Go implement that. And the truth is, at a societal level, I don't know how to fix this. We would need massive policy changes. We would need a better education system. We would need regulations on big tech. And we would need at least 50 million people to watch video like this one and others like it. If you gain value from this and you think this is important, I would ask that you share this video with someone. Right? Share it in your family group chat, share it with a friend. Like, comment, so that the YouTube algorithm picks it up and shares it to more people. Anyways, I hope this served you. My name is Mikey. I'll see you around. Peace.